We all wanna change. We all wanna be somebody else. I wanna visit all the places nobody goes. I wanna teach all the things that nobody knows. I wanna grow wings, leave the coop, learn to fly. Bungee jump from the tallest building in Dubai. I wanna fly around town in my UFO. I wanna eat real food, not the GMOs.
Welcome back to Desert with Days, and I am here with Mr. Khalid Gibson, actor.
How you doing, Kathy?
I think you're screenwriter also.
I am, yeah.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you. You know what? I've been thinking about what I wanted to talk to you about when I got you here on the couch. But you know what? You just this deep person. And I'm just interested in knowing about the young Khalid.
Okay.
What was it? When did you first get into acting?
Is it too cliche to say since birth?
No.
I mean, honestly, when I first got into acting, like when I first actually began doing it, it wasn't until I moved here to Arizona. I was born in New York. First half of my childhood was in New York, and then I really didn't begin acting until I was in 6th grade. And my parents knew I wanted to be an actor since I could start talking.
Oh.
And so I was in 6th grade, and my mom said, "Look, let's enroll you in some college acting courses." So I would go to school during the day, and maybe like 2 or 3 days out of the school week, after school, I would go to the community college and take acting classes. I was this timid 11-year-old kid with all these adults in these acting classes. But I knew I wanted to start acting ever since I was talking and watching TV and movies.
That's probably where that deepness come from. I mean, a little old man, a little 11-year-old.
I guess, yeah.
What was your most memorable movie, your favorite movie as a child?
Wow, okay. So as a kid, it's ironic you asked me that because the majority of acting I do is drama, but it's funny because it was actually comedians and comedies that really got me to say, like, that's what I want to do. I didn't want to be necessarily like a funny actor or comedian, but I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be on stage or on film and elicit reactions out of an audience. So as a kid, every kid loves to watch TV and cartoons and movies. But for me, it was more than just wanting to be lazy and watch TV and movies. I just loved storytelling. So for me, as far as a memorable movie, like Ace Ventura was a huge impact on me. Like I remember watching that for the first time and thinking, like, that's it. Like that's I already knew I wanted to be an actor, but that was it. And
there was a lot of moving parts in that movie. It was a lot of work put into that.
Yeah. And then also like Robin Williams, rest in power. He was a huge influence on me, and Miss Doubtfire and Hook and Aladdin was my hero, and so those movies were definitely very memorable for me. And then as I grew up into my preteen stage, Scream was a huge influence on me, definitely.
Scream?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So we know that you're a screenwriter. So where did you come from? When did you go from acting to screenwriting?
I don't know when it began to transition into that, but I just had stories in my head. And I was always a very creative person, whether it was acting or some kind of storytelling. I just had stories in my head. So I remember when I was maybe 5th or 6th grade, I would begin writing screenplays on my mom's computer. And I never took a single screenwriting class. I never knew the rules and the guidelines of how to write a screenplay, but I would just go onto her computer and I remember I got really, really deep into this comedy I had in my mind about two best friends, and it's embarrassing now, but like I'll say whatever. Like, it was like two best friends, and one of them got into an accident and died, but he came back as a ghost, and he would like try to, not embarrass his friend, but like he would show up around his friend all the time and kind of just put him in awkward situations and stuff like that. So I remember I got deep into that screenplay when I was a little kid, but I don't know.
That sounds like something we've seen before.
It probably is. Something must have inspired me.
You remember that old Bill Cosby movie when he died in a taxi car?
Was it? Oh man, I know what you're referring to, but yeah, I know what you're referring to. Yeah, I don't think that inspired me, but so many things inspired me as a kid, and I remember I don't know when that transitioned, but I always had stories in my head, definitely.
when what was your first acting gig like for you?
Wow, my first acting gig. You're taking me back. You're making me feel old, Kathy. You know, I started doing a lot more acting after I graduated high school, because in high school all I did was really high school theater. Wasn't until college I did more of student film, stuff like that. But my first acting gig, it was just a learning experience. You know,
Okay.
you're a young
Right.
you're a young actor, especially a young black actor, and you're just, you know, like a little kid in a candy
That's
store,
it.
just like looking around
Right.
and
Checking out
learning everything, observing, just like a sponge, you know.
Yes.
So it was just something fun, definitely, and I'm still that way to this day. Even I've been on God knows how many sets.
You,
I'm
you
still
have
just
you
observing.
have to be. We continue to learn. Speaking about being a sponge and being a kid, you know, I think that's what we forget to do is to continue to be a kid.
Absolutely.
And acting is about relinquishing yourself.
Absolutely.
And as one of the coaches says, staying out of your head.
Right.
And kids don't do that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there's so much that goes into acting. A lot of people think it's just memorizing lines and go out there and say your lines, but there's so much into it. You know, it's funny you said that. I remember when I was in college, my mentor to this day, I did a monologue in front of him for a class, and I remember I thought I did a really great job, and I really put my work into it. But he after the monologue was over, he said to me, he said, Khalid, you know, you're great, but you're putting too many Khalidisms. You're putting too many Khalidisms in you. I was like, what do you mean? Like, the stuff you do as far as your body language, like for your character, I see you do that all the time. Like, you need to break out of that and relinquish different parts of you. You can't just put Khalidisms
Right.
everything
I
you
like
do.
that.
And I really to this day stuck with me. So if I find myself doing something that's just how Khalid moves,
Right.
I got to remember, like, I'm playing a character. Find parts of the character that I know about that I can relate to, but I can't just be me in everything I do. You know.
That's where it comes down to studying your character.
Exactly. Craft.
Right.
Exactly.
Studying. If you could say one thing you'd like to change in the film industry, what would that be?
In the film industry, you know, I think we're actually seeing it right now. I think we're making great positive steps, but I would love to continue the trend of seeing accurate representation out there when it comes to all kinds of people, all kinds of different, you know, color, size, shape, what have you. I think we're making great positive movement in the right direction. I just don't want it to be a temporary trend, just to impress the masses or just to impress a certain demographic, and then we revert back to how it was. We need to continue the trend of accurate representation of all kinds of people, because there's so many of us in this world that have the most amazing stories, and it really is. It's something magical when I can relate as an actor, and I know you can as well. Just when you go on to a stage, or you watch a stage play, or watch a movie, and you see someone that's like, I look like him, or like, yo, like, that was me 10 years ago. That's me currently. My sister is that way. My best friend is that way. Like, when you see that, it's something I can't even describe, because it's so magical, but it's brilliant. You know?
Well, it's about what you're saying. We're telling stories.
Exactly.
So if you're telling the story, people want to see their story.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
so why are you going to leave out
100%. That's facts. That's 100%
stories that
facts.
represent certain people?
Right.
But do you think it's because I want to say laziness? It's easier to say this is the typical family, this is the typical world, so I'm going to stick with that instead of create my own story?
Yeah, I think it's I think it's part laziness. I think you're right on that. I think some of it is fear as well. You kind of fear to branch out and show something new, not exactly sure how it's going to be returned, how it's going to be received, and you know, this tried and proven method works, and let's stick with that. And especially when it comes to filmmaking, it's a money industry, and so, like, yeah, what you're showing me is great, but am I going to have people show up for it? And if I don't, then that means I can't do that kind of story ever again. And so it's laziness. I think it's fear, anxiety about it. But, you know, just like what we tell actors all the time, you have to show risk to get what you want.
Take a risk and go for it.
Right.
So do you have any new projects that you're working on right now?
Absolutely. So I just actually wrapped the first season of a web series I was blessed to be a part of, called Malcolm. One of, if not probably the best experience I've had on a film set. It's called Malcolm. It was it was directed by a now a very good friend of mine, Levi Elizaga, who runs New Vine Visuals, and it was co-written and produced by Julian Negretti, two amazingly talented and just really great people. And I just wrapped season 1, so we're aiming to do a season 2, hopefully, and near in the future. And like I said, one of the best, if not the best, film going, or not film going, but filmmaking experiences I've ever been on.
Great, great.
Absolutely.
So where can our audience find you?
So you can find me on Instagram under Khalid_acts_, KHALID. So Khalid_acts_ on my Instagram. And it's just me, honestly, just being a nerd, being a cinephile. I'm always posting on there constantly. But I'm always posting just what I'm doing recently, things I'm working on, and if in between that, I'll also post just my love and admiration for films and certain people in the industry, and just showcasing my respect for this person, that person, and just giving flowers, all the time.
That's awesome. I mean, because we have to support each other.
Absolutely.
I mean, if we're going to keep this industry going and in a positive manner, we need to support each other.
Absolutely. And support, and even on top of that, outside support as well.
That is true.
Outside support is amazing. I'm blessed to have the greatest outside support by family and friends. Shout out to my best friends, Mark and Terry, Stephanie and Christy. When you have that outside support, that people who support, encourage you and love you, it's a beautiful thing, keeps you going.
Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely.
It was such a pleasure.
Kathy, it's always a pleasure to be around you. I love your energy, always.
Oh, thank you.
Always.
We'll be right back after this commercial break.
I wanna change.